Well, Mother's Day is a special time to salute the strong and resilient women and mothering characters who have raised us. The past year of living through a pandemic, as you just heard there, has greatly affected households far and wide. Now, according to the 2021 PwC Women in Work Index, COVID-19 has caused an increase in women leaving the workforce due to a sudden shift in focus and additional responsibilities at home. Now, according to Momentum Investment Consulting, this has caused many women to forego their savings and investments in order to cover basic household costs. Let's get some more tips to aid these important breadwinners and homemakers amongst us to invest in a brighter financial future with Momentum Investment Consulting head Florbela Yates, who joins us virtually. Florbela, thank you so much for joining us. We've heard repeatedly about the impact that COVID-19 has had on various sectors of our society and indeed our economy. And this report by PwC really brings those two together, the economic impact, especially on women, really carrying a big part of the economic crunch that we have felt. What did you make of the findings of that report, especially if you look at our unemployment numbers, where women are apparently the most affected percentage of that unemployment rate?
Yes, so it's true. Obviously, the unemployment figures exclude, the survey excludes the fact that most women actually already leave the workforce at some point in time to have children. But the reality is, especially in South Africa, that women look after not only their direct family, but often extended families, siblings, parents, siblings, children. So there's a huge impact when they leave the workforce. Obviously, then that breadwinner in the family loses an income. And the other impact is obviously, as women, we tend to be nurturers. And it's up to us to make sure that we provide not only for our children, but for any other dependents that we have. So when we're not earning an income, it becomes more difficult to do that. And that's why savings is so critically important while you are working. Even not only when you're working, but when you come into any sort of income, a landfall, someone passes away and you get left some money, you've got money in a stokvel and it's your turn to draw it out. It's important to not spend all of that, but to actually invest as much as possible and save it.
Now, that being said, we do understand it's very difficult. The rand just doesn't go as far as it used to. A basket of groceries really is costing more and more, almost on a daily basis. You seem to see those numbers going up. What is your advice then to women who are deciding that they need to leave the workplace? They're contemplating what to do with certain investments. Do they cash it out to just help them get over a little bump in the road as they get through whatever challenge they're facing at home? What kind of advice are you giving women who are leaving the workplace for whatever reason that might be, especially that brought on by the pressures brought on by the pandemic?
Well, I think if you've got a little bit of savings, you can always finance that little bump in the road. And let's be honest, we all have bumps in the road. The advice that I'd always give is try not to spend frivolously. So if you need to withdraw an investment because you need to finance a short-term any expenditure of any sort, I'd always recommend that you take it out of something that's not going to take away from your long-term savings. So firstly, when you invest, make sure that it's invested in a vehicle or in a product where you're getting an inflationary or above inflationary return. Because as you say, the rand just doesn't go as far, and I suspect that's going to continue for all time. Then when you're disinvesting, I would recommend that you try to stay away from disinvesting from a product when it's down. So for instance, if you're in a unit trust and there's exposure to equities or bonds, and those investments are down, by disinvesting, you're actually locking in that negative return. You're actually locking in a loss. So it's far better to stay invested in those products and try and rather withdraw from a money market or income fund that may not then lock in such a large return. But having said that, it depends on the point in time. In March last year, we actually saw huge drawdowns from most unit trust investments. And then the other thing that I'd say is, as soon as you have money to replenish, put it back in the investment. It's never too early to save. You never have too little. It doesn't matter what the amount is. Put it in. And then the other thing that I'd say is be disciplined. If you need it for an emergency, we all have those times. But if you're just withdrawing to buy something that's a luxury, maybe this isn't the time. Wait until you have more income coming in, and then rather spend on those luxury items then.
Now, we're speaking quite a bit about what those immediate needs might be, a bump in the road or just a grocery bill that needs to be covered. How should, or how could, especially a woman-headed household, look at balancing the need to take care of immediate financial needs with investing in what's needed in the long-term future, if you're preparing to invest for your family's future, as the case may be?
So when you do have an income coming in, and while you're still in the workforce, I would recommend that you start considering the long-term needs. If you're a mom, you know that you're going to have to finance education at some point in time. So whether it's school fees or university fees, it's worthwhile taking out a product specifically for that, an education saver. The other thing is to take advantage of taxable savings. So when there is a tax-free investment, you can put the maximum into there every year. That's a good place to start. If you're getting a bonus at some point in time, or again, you have some additional unexpected money coming in. So that when you do have to then finance your short-term needs and maybe withdraw from savings in a bank account or in a money market account, those aren't affected. And where there just isn't enough cash and you do need to withdraw, I'd suggest you make a budget. Write down the things that are essential and then shop around. For groceries, it might not be as easy, but I find actually ordering online has helped me a huge amount because I'm not walking around the shopping centre and picking up unnecessary items as I see them, but rather I go through my shopping list and order what I really need.
That's a very, very good tip, and I've found the same thing. There's nothing that catches your eye and veers off what you really need for supper tonight. Thank you so much. We're going to leave it there.